UFC President Dana White has once again taken aim at bantamweight contender Merab Dvalishvili, and this time his criticism is as sharp as ever. Known for his blunt and unfiltered commentary, White expressed serious frustration over Merab's recent choices, particularly those involving his health and preparation. The controversy stems from a questionable decision Merab made ahead of a previous fight, removing his own stitches just days before stepping into the octagon. At the time, Dana didn't mince words, calling Merab the dumbest fighter ever for such a reckless move. It was a stark reminder of how seriously White takes fighter safety and professionalism in the UFC. Now, as Merab gears up for his highly anticipated rematch against Shah Ali at UFC 316, the drama continues. The Georgian fighter recently shared training photos that showed his intense preparation, but one image stood out. In it, Merab is seen with a fresh cut just beneath his eye, a visible sign of the physical toll his sparring sessions are taking. Dana White quickly reshared the image on social media with a blunt caption, "This guy just never learns." It was a clear expression of his ongoing frustration. As the head of the UFC, Dana White is responsible not just for promoting fights, but also for ensuring the health and safety of the athletes. From his perspective, Merab's self-stitched medical, gamble and relentless training risks cross the line from tough to irresponsible. While taking damage is part of the sport, ignoring medical protocols and pushing through injuries unnecessarily is something Dana sees as unprofessional and dangerous. Merab, on the other hand, embodies the grit and determination of a fighter who refuses to be sidelined. He's clearly willing to endure pain and push through obstacles to stay on top. But Dana White sees that mindset as stubborn, careless, and potentially career-threatening. This brewing tension between the UFC boss and the bantamweight brawler only adds more intrigue to the UFC 316 showdown. Fans are left wondering, will Merab's toughness help him prevail? Or will his refusal to play it safe be his downfall? Robert Whittaker weighs in on Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena. Superfight. In other UFC news, former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker has made a bold prediction about one of the most anticipated matchups on the horizon: Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena. During a recent interview with Submission Radio, Whittaker, known for his sharp fight IQ and no-nonsense analysis, shared his thoughts on how the superfight might unfold, especially given the major question mark hanging over Makhachev's move up in weight. "It's hard to get an accurate gauge on what it's going to look like," Whittaker admitted, especially not knowing how Islam will perform going up a weight class. That's always the question. When fighters move up or down, there are so many unknowns. He's absolutely right. Moving to a different division can significantly impact a fighter's speed, power, and cardio. It's a gamble, even for a champion like Makhachev. But Whittaker believes the reigning lightweight king's elite skills can transcend divisions. But saying that, Whittaker continued, "I think Islam can handle it. His grappling is world-class, and if he brings that same pressure and control, it could be enough to neutralize JDM's striking advantage." Still, he didn't downplay the challenge Jack Della Maddalena presents. The Aussie striker is on a tear, known for his slick boxing, vicious body shots, and calm composure under pressure. If Makhachev can't close the distance, the tide could turn quickly. Whittaker's take offers fans a compelling glimpse into the high-stakes chess match that lies ahead. As the superfight builds momentum, one thing is certain: when Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena finally meet, it'll be a collision of styles, strategies, and legacies. Stay tuned. This is just the beginning. Robert Whittaker did not hold back when comparing Islam Makhachev to Belal Muhammad in a recent interview. His words were clear and direct. "Makhachev does everything Belal does, but way better. Way, way, way better." The comparison highlights the deep respect Whittaker has for Islam's all-around skill set. Whitaker acknowledged Makhachev's elite grappling, relentless pressure, and calculated fight IQ as some of the very best in the sport. But he did not count Jack Della Maddalena out, either. Reflecting on Jack's previous fight against Belal Muhammad, Whitaker said he thought Jack handled that fight well, even though it was a tough matchup. He added that while it won't be easy for Jack, he believes in him. Jack has that X factor, the hunger and the ticker. Just like Belal and Gilbert Burns before him, Jack has that fire. Whitaker's comments show that he sees Jack as far more than just a dangerous striker. He respects Jack's wrestling development, mental toughness, and championship-level heart. These are the qualities that have made champions in the past and could prove critical against someone like Makhachev. This fight is shaping up to be one of the most tactical and compelling showdowns in recent UFC memory. Islam Makhachev's ground control and grappling are often overwhelming for opponents and can end fights without much damage being taken. But Jack Della Maddalena brings a different kind of threat. His forward pressure, sharp boxing, cool mindset, and underrated wrestling defense could be the formula to crack Islam's dominance. Whitaker's breakdown is more than just a prediction. It's a deep and thoughtful look at how these two elite fighters match up. Will Makhachev's world-class wrestling and technique be too much to handle? Or will Jack's pressure heart and unshakable will lead to the biggest upset of the year? Stakes are massive and fight fans across the globe are watching and waiting. While many fans and commentators have called Jon Jones's delay in signing a contract to fight Tom Aspinall a clear case of ducking, one of his former opponents has offered a very different and eye-opening perspective. Jon Jones, widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters in MMA history, has left fans and analysts frustrated with his refusal to officially commit to the highly anticipated bout against Aspinall. The tension surrounding the potential fight has only grown over time, especially after Jones hinted last year that he might accept the challenge, but only if the UFC gave him a massive payday. Since then, despite all the buzz and speculation, nothing official has been signed, and many have started questioning Jon's true motives. Some believe Jones is avoiding the matchup out of concern that Aspinall, with his devastating striking and strong grappling, could end his legendary run and perhaps deliver the first real loss of his career. However, Anthony Smith, who once went 5 rounds with Jones, has offered a completely different theory. During a recent appearance on ESPN, Smith described Jon Jones not just as a great fighter, but as a master manipulator. Smith said Jon has been running psychological warfare on his opponents for years, and that what we are seeing now is just another example. Smith acknowledged Aspinall's hunger, focus, and drive, but said Jon is playing a deeper mental game. The key to every negotiation, according to Smith, is that the person who cares the least always wins. And in this case, Jon Jones does not care what Tom Aspinall wants. In fact, he is doing the exact opposite of what Aspinall expects, Smith said. Jon's goal is to mentally drain Aspinall before the fight even happens, to make him question himself and overthink every step of the process, Smith added. It is one of the most exhausting things I have ever had to deal with, and I have got to respect it. Jon is a master at emotionally and mentally exhausting people, and you can see it happening to Tom Aspinall already. This powerful statement sheds light on how much of Jones's strategy happens outside the cage. It is not just about fighting. It is about control, intimidation, and emotional warfare. This perspective has sparked a wave of new debate across the MMA world. Is Jon Jones truly ducking a dangerous contender? Or is he once again proving that his greatest weapon might not be his fists but his mind? One thing is certain. If this fight happens, it will be more than a physical battle, it will be a war of wills. Now let's turn to UFC 319, and a burning question on every fan's mind. Can Dricus du Plessis really beat Khamzat Chimaev? Their showdown on August 16th promises to be one of the most intriguing matchups of the year. Both fighters are explosive and undefeated in recent outings, and both bring unique weapons to the octagon. But according to someone who knows them well, the key to victory is not about raw power or flashy techniques. It comes down to one thing: counter-wrestling. That insight comes from Sean Strickland, a fighter who has faced Dricus twice and spent serious time training with Khamzat. During a recent interview with Helen Yee, Strickland shared his thoughts on how this fight might play out. He said Dricus absolutely has a path to victory, but only if he can execute a perfect defensive wrestling game. Strickland explained that while Dricus has the striking, the conditioning and the confidence to challenge Khamzat, it will all fall apart if he cannot stop the takedown or get back up once he hits the ground. "I have been training with these guys for years," said Strickland. "I can usually counter-wrestle and grapple Khamzat, but I do not know if Dricus can do that. Khamzat is known for his aggressive top control, suffocating pressure, and ability to dominate opponents on the mat. If Dricus cannot stay on his feet, he may find himself overwhelmed early." This fight is not just a test of toughness or heart. It is a tactical battle where one mistake on the ground could mean the end. The question is whether Dricus can keep the fight where he wants it and make history by handing Khamzat his first professional loss. Fans will find out soon enough when these two collide at UFC 319 in what could be the most high-stakes matchup of the year. Can Dricus du Plessis neutralize Khamzat Chimaev's pressure? Khamzat Chimaev is known for his relentless ground control and ability to overwhelm opponents once the fight hits the mat. That is exactly why Sean Strickland insists that if Dricus du Plessis can counter this aspect of Khamzat's game, he has a real chance to win. If Dricus can counter-wrestle Khamzat, I think he wins hands down. Strickland said, "I sparred with Khamzat, and based on that experience, I think Dricus wins. But it is going to come down to whether Dricus can stop or counter Khamzat's top game. It is not hard if you can do it." Strickland's comments highlight that. While Dricus is known for his sharp striking, relentless pace, and incredible toughness, the true challenge in this fight lies in handling Khamzat's wrestling. If Dricus can keep the fight standing or recover quickly from takedowns, his chances of winning rise dramatically. Khamzat's grappling and ground control have broken many opponents, mentally and physically. That is his bread and butter. On the other hand, Dricus brings a different kind of danger. His striking is aggressive, accurate, and unpredictable. He is durable and thrives in chaos, which could disrupt Khamzat's usual rhythm. For Dricus, victory will likely come through a mix of calculated striking, strong wrestling defense, and smart counter moves. If he can frustrate Khamzat and force him to strike rather than grapple, he could tilt the fight in his favor. This is not just a battle of styles. It is a war of will and execution, a high-stakes chess match between two warriors at their peak. Will Dricus shut down the pressure and shock the world, or will Khamzat's ground dominance once again prove to be too much? Fans around the globe will be watching closely on August 16th, when these two collide in what may become one of the most talked about fights of the year. Is the hacking claim real, or just a sign of growing tension behind the scenes? Either way, the UFC world isn't slowing down, and the spotlight now shifts to Islam Makhachev and his upcoming welterweight clash with Jack Della Maddalena. According to Islam's longtime coach, Javier Mendez, the team is preparing for an all-out war, not banking on an early finish or underestimating Jack's sharp boxing and relentless pressure. This isn't a tune-up, this is full focus. Training in Dagestan is at its peak, and Makhachev's camp knows exactly what's at stake. The build-up grew even more intense after Ilya Topuria publicly called Islam a coward for running from their potential super fight. But Islam's eyes are on welterweight gold, not legacy bouts just yet. And Jack Della Maddalena is no easy step up. His striking is crisp, his pace is constant, and his composure under pressure is rare. Still, he's never faced a fighter like Islam, whose elite wrestling, precise timing, and ability to control chaos are what set him apart. If Islam wins, the doors fly open. A return to lightweight to silence Topuria could be on the table. Or a dominant win might set up mega bouts at 170. Imagine Islam versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's a fight fans would circle on the calendar instantly. Coach Mendez explained the team's mindset clearly. I'm always the same. I never change. I'm ready for a 5-round war. If I go in thinking Islam will dominate or finish him early, and that doesn't happen, it throws off my focus. I can't afford that. He compared it to driving a freeway. Look back for a second and you risk crashing. His job is to stay locked in, no matter how the fight plays out. That focused mindset will be key. This isn't just a fight. It's a legacy moment. A turning point in Islam Makhachev's career. A win could elevate him into rare air, champion, across divisions, and a serious candidate for pound-for-pound greatness. All eyes will be on the octagon when these two collide. Rumors have circulated that the UFC may be pressuring Alex Pereira to take the fight sooner than he feels ready, for adding another layer of tension between the fighter and the promotion. Adding insight to the situation, MMA veteran and analyst Josh Thompson shared his thoughts on a recent episode of the podcast Weighing in Thompson. Delivered blunt and sobering advice aimed not just at Pereira, but at all UFC fighters navigating the difficult landscape of modern MMA according